Are you ready to unlock your full potential and maximize your productivity? Look no further than Productivity Smarts, the ultimate audio podcast hosted by renowned productivity expert Gerald J. Leonard. In every episode, Gerald shares captivating stories, invaluable tips, and cutting-edge strategies that will transform the way you approach productivity. Whether you're looking to reduce stress, overcome overwhelm, or simply get more done in less time, Productivity Smarts has got you covered. But that's not all. You'll also gain inspiration from real-life success stories of individuals who have achieved greatness through productivity. Plus, you'll learn the latest tools, techniques, and habits that will help you achieve a new level of happiness and fulfillment in your personal and professional life. So why wait? Join us every week as we delve into the exciting world of productivity and help you unleash your full potential. Get ready to take your productivity to the next level with Productivity Smarts. As a productivity expert and host of the Productivity Smarts podcast, Gerald J. Leonard has been a proud supporter of Kiva since 2011. Kiva is a non-profit organization that helps entrepreneurs in third world countries access the capital they need to start or grow their businesses. By making a small loan through Kiva, you can help these entrepreneurs achieve their dreams, support their families, and contribute to their local economies. And with a repayment rate of over 96%, your loan can be re-lent to another entrepreneur once it's repaid, creating a ripple effect of positive change. So if you're looking for a meaningful way to make a difference in the world, consider making a loan through Kiva. With loans as small as $25, anyone can be a micro-lender and help change lives. Visit kiva.org to learn more and start lending today.
Well, today I'm speaking to Antonio Nieto-Rodriguez. He is the world champion of modern project management and the author of Powered by Projects, as well as the Harvard Business Review book on the Project Management Handbook. He works with senior leaders to develop and accelerate transformation at scale, building internal transformational muscle, and helps them thrive to adjust to any changes that happen in the modern world. Antonio, how are you?
I'm very good. Thank you, Gerald. Good to be back. Yeah, it's been a while, but good to be back.
Exactly. I think you were on one of my first podcasts, PM Academy. I think that's, I interviewed a lot of people on that podcast. That was years ago, but I'm really happy to have you back. And it was kind of neat because Harvard Business Review reached out and said, hey, we got a new author with the book. I think you've interviewed him before. And so they helped make this happen. So I'm really excited about that as well. Well, listen, before we get started, I always ask this of my guests because I'm a musician and I'm curious. What's your favorite style of music?
Well, I like a lot. Depends on the mood, but jazz is something that I've been listening a lot lately. It just puts me in the mood.
Now, do you have any favorite artists?
I like the mix. I'm not into one artist. I like just listening and
just
going with the flow.
Flowing. Yeah. Well, I wrote a book on, workplace jazz, and I use a lot of music as a metaphor because it has so much to do with small teams working well together.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And it really, you can hear it in the music, how everybody's listening and working together. And so that's a whole nother conversation. But listen, I want to talk to you about your book. But before I do that, I want to ask you another question. You've done a lot of things. I mean, you've written a couple of books from Harvard. You've published at Harvard on a regular basis on this topic of productivity, project management, the project economy, and now how organizations are powered by projects. What do you feel like has made you so successful throughout your career?
Wow, that's a tough question, Gerald. I never think about myself like that. I just set myself goals because I think it means and will bring some impact to my kind of mission, which is elevating project management to a strategic competency, to a CEO level discussion. And HBR was like a stepping stone or one of the most important. So I set that target and took me forever. Gerald, these things don't happen one day from another. We're not professors in MIT so it takes even more. But when you have something in mind and you work towards it, then you make it. And that's, I think, how I get things done. It's just setting those goals and and working towards them, enjoying the way getting there. So don't getting frustrating. And most of them somehow they happen. And I think I saw it very clear. I think there was a need for this in the leadership management space, and people start recognizing.
Yeah, it's interesting because, I think in some of your writings and just some of the literature that's out there, some of the best CEOs of these major companies have a project management background.
Yeah, exactly. And they forget when they get to the CEO role, maybe the pressure, the shareholders, the market, but many of them have led projects. Somehow they forgot about that and they deprioritize. But yeah, indeed, like you said, Gerald, many had some project management experience.
Yes. Yeah. Now, let me go back to this. I want to follow back up on the goal setting question I asked you. What is something that helps you keep your goals in mind? Because you said that being published by Harvard Business Review, that's a major deal, but that was a goal, right? And you said it was kind of a part of the journey. It's not the end all be all for you. It's a part of the journey that you're on, and you're on this journey by setting goals. What is it? What's one thing or maybe a couple of nuggets that you can share of how you personally keep your goals front and center so that you stay focused? Because, life happens and it can distract you. How do you stay focused to keep that goal happening?
Yeah, Gerald, that's also, well, I try to set several goals. In case I fail one, then I still have other. So not just one goal. So I had HBR as one of them, but I had other. I want to teach in HBR. That has never happened, but it's still there. And then what you do is just break it down into smaller steps. I know this is going to be a very long-term goal. It will not happen within 3 years. So what can you do to get closer? And then you start thinking about having a newsletter, publishing in some other kind of magazines that you get the experience on writing, get some visibility. You fine-tune your topic. You be more clear on what you really want to give and the message that you want to share. So these steps in between, which are minor achievements that I like to celebrate. I celebrate a lot. So that helps a lot also to keep the positive. And well, I didn't make it to the end, but I got a nice run till there. So that's kind of how I manage keeping the momentum, celebrating, having like 3 months, 6 months targets, writing other kind of books, and it just gets you closer and closer. You need, I think, a bit of luck where you meet that person that would introduce you, or there's kind of always a sense of luck in what I've achieved or been there at the right time with the right people. I don't know how much that counts, but I do think it counts a little.
Yeah, no, it is big because, taking a large goal like that and breaking it down to small chunks, breaking it into like 3 to 6 month periods, which means you kind of constantly have it written somewhere. You got to go back and review it. And I think that's part of it. But I think, as you said, celebrating along the way. And I think many times we can forget to do that, right? Which is to celebrate the things that we've already accomplished and to look back on where we were compared to last year, where we are now. And if we've moved forward a little bit, we should celebrate that because that means we're in a different place. So let me ask you this about the book, Powered by Projects. Now, you say that all organizations are now project driven, and we are all part of the project economy. Can you elaborate on that? And what does that mean? And what does that mean for individuals, right? And even individuals looking for jobs right now?
Sure. So this was a hard book to write. I think the manual for HBR was clear. I knew what I wanted, but then I saw that there was something missing in the profession of projects and why they keep falling constantly, 70-80% failure rates, despite all the work that has been done. So then I realized that there were a couple of elements missing, and one of them is the organization, the way you're organized, and the governance and the structure, the hierarchy. And then also the leadership plays a big role. So I realized that we were getting into organizations where projects were becoming we were playing a bigger role. So maybe 20 years ago, operations was 80%. That's how we run the business. That's how we make the money. But there has been a transition towards more project-based work.
Right.
And at the point that when you will start seeing robots and AI and automation, they will take over the whole operations. That you don't need people to run any parts of the operations. So what's left? What kind of work is left? It's just projects. It's innovation. It's agile. It's projects. It's product development. And that's how I see the future of work is project-based work. And you need to put projects at the center. And that's the project-driven organization where operations is not the priority. Projects are the priority.
That's really, really important, especially with, before AI really blew up in the last couple of years, right?
Yeah.
What was happening before then was a lot of automation was happening, right? A lot of automation and a lot of global supply chain processes were happening. And so when it comes to the individual being productive, it really boils down to, hey, are you also building your project management muscle, even if you're a marketer, or a financial person, or an economist, or a developer? Are you understanding the principles of agile and things like that? Because that's where things are going, because everything else is being automated, then that's going to be the work that's going to be left for us as human beings to do, right?
Exactly, Gerald. And that's what I kind of provoke people and listeners also. If you currently work always in the same place with the same people doing the same thing every day of the week, then your job will disappear for sure in 6 to 12 months. You have a problem. Not you, but the world is changing faster than what we can adapt. So that's what I'm trying to say to people is embrace change. You need to understand that with change, there is positive things. I know people like stability and nothing changing, but that's not the reality. So get used to change, and people naturally like to change. So, but we just need to know where we're going
Right.
and what are the benefits for us. And that's where I think leadership has to do more. HR has to do more in saying, forget one thing very funny, Gerald, that you probably heard when you do projects is people say, I work with you in this project, but let me alone afterwards. I want to go back to normal. There's no back to normal. There's no back to normal. And you have a big problem if you think like that, huh?
Exactly. It's what's the next project? Because like you said, there's no more back to normal. But I think that's a really important point, because as human beings, we crave normal.
Yeah.
At the same time, we crave novelty. And so we have this conflict even within ourselves that I want things to be the same, but I want something new. Yeah. Well, things can't be the same if we want something new. And the way the world is now is once a project or something is built, it basically is either automated or AI is managing it to some extent. And there's very little work for us as human beings to do with that platform or that service. Think about automated banking and things along that line. I mean, there's things that happen in our lives now that just happen because of automation and AI.
Exactly.
And so the only work that's out there, a lot of the work that's out there is that what are we building that is going to be new?
Exactly that, Gerald. And that's one of my key messages in the book is for CEOs. There's nothing more important for you. Forget about AI. AI is important, but your biggest priority is create an organization that is comfortable with change, that the people thrive on change. That's what I call this transformation muscle. Today, maybe 5% of an organization, the people feel comfortable with change. 5-10% only. The others want to go back to normal. And this is, if you don't manage to get your company to be thriving with change, because AI will come, then there's going to be quantum. There's going to be more than coming. And you need to have that agility. And if you don't do it, there's other company that's doing it.
There's other companies or there's other people, right?
Other people.
It's like I keep hearing this, seeing this saying where it's like, AI is not going to take your job, but a person who really knows how to use AI Will.
Love that. Really nice.
Yeah, because that's really important. Now, let's go back to this project-driven organization, because honestly, again, from an individual standpoint, a lot of the work that if we're out of work, a lot of the work that we're applying for is companies that are beginning to adapt this project-driven model. So can you talk a little bit about, and maybe kind of thinking about the way the book is laid out, discuss or share some of the important concepts that are built into this project-driven organization that is being formed, that we as individuals may be applying for or working for in the future?
Sure. So one thing that became clear to me while writing and researching, Gerald, was that, and I come from the project management world, I was chairman of the Project Management Institute, and I think we got it completely wrong. I think we thought that by having methodologies, frameworks, we will do our projects better, but that's not enough. That doesn't help you to be successful. So what I laid down is a blueprint where you cover 3 big dimensions. First is the organization. I always say that we have organizations built to be successful for the 19th century. When the world was stable. Right. Where you needed hierarchies, you needed silos, you need people specialized in one thing. But that's not the case. So the big theme there is organization, includes culture. Culture is about being allowed to fail. One of the biggest things that I talk in the book is that most of the projects that you see, they're incremental improvements. You don't use projects for doing incremental improvements. A 10% increase in revenues, a 10% cost cutting. We want exponential projects with purpose, projects that will change your business. But we don't have that because they're too risky. And what happens if you're too risky? The culture will say you're bad and you might be out. So we do the minimum, right?
Right.
Then the hierarchies. Here, there's nothing worse for a project to have hierarchy. In a project-driven organization, hierarchy is very flat. There's one level, and we move fast.
Yeah.
Right? So that's 2 big areas in the organization space. Second, leadership.
Yeah.
If you don't have the leaders are the people that launch projects, prioritize initiatives, and then they sponsor. So that means that they need to put skin in the game, not just their name in the paper. So there is a lot of work to be done there in terms of prioritization, killing projects. You need to be able to stop. It's very funny. I'll just go a bit sideways, Gerald, but one thing I do in workshop with senior leaders, I ask them, how often do you launch new projects here? And the leaders, executives say, we launch one every month. We're super creative. We're entrepreneur mindset. Then I ask them, how often do you close them? And they look at each other. There's silence in the room because they don't know when was the last time they finished a project. Maybe that was 6 months. If you launch more projects than you finish, you're a bad leader. You're creating an overflow of projects. Most companies have 50% at least more projects than they can do.
Yeah, I've walked into organizations like that.
Yeah.
And what happens is the project is actually turned into operational work because it has no deadline.
There's no deadline.
There's no deadline. So one of the first things I had to do with that organization is say, okay, when we charter a project or charter an activity, what does done look like?
Exactly. That's so good what you do.
Right.
They don't know.
What does done look like? Because when it's done, guess what? We're going to stop working on that.
Yeah.
We're going to move it. We're going to transition it into operations and let the tech people and the operationals people take it over because it's no longer a project.
Exactly. That's so true. I love what you're saying, Gerald. It's so hard to finish. It's hard to stop them, also to kill them, And I think you wrote an article on sunsetting and projects, which is so crucial, right? It's you need to learn these skills. And then on the leadership, so we had organization as a big theme. The second is leadership. And the bigger point, so prioritization, and that's key. But then I think most leaders, don't feel like spending time in projects and transformation because they're uncomfortable. Every day is a bit different. There's ambiguity. There's people kind of asking for help. They don't know what to do. And so most leaders spend time in their comfort zone, which is running the business. That's they know well. There's hierarchy. They have power. They decide. They control. And so they would spend 4 or 5 days per week into running the business. We don't want leaders and CEO running the business. The business runs. We want them to move out of their comfort zone. Spend more time. Spend half of the week, 3 days per week, into those transformations. Your transformations and your projects are your future. What are you doing? Just protecting the past? That's not good leadership. So there's a lot of strong statement about leadership. They need to wake up. They need to change. They need to spend most time out of their comfort zone.
Yeah. It's kind of along the lines of, I think it's the E-Myth on the model of, are you working in the business or are you working on the business? And really, it's kind of like what we're talking about is, if leadership is working in the business, just trying to do the normal, right? The leadership roles that they're normally used to doing, then they're in the business trying to grow revenue and so on and so forth. But if they're working on the business, then that means you're working on activities, you're working on projects, you're working on things. And that can be a mindset for a Fortune 500 company, or it can be a mindset of an entrepreneur.
Exactly.
Right? Are you working in your business or on your business? And you kind of have to do both. You have to be ambidextrous. You have to do both, because you have to kind of keep the business going. But at the same time, if you're not working on the business and improving it and moving it forward, then pretty soon, everything that you're working in is going to be obsolete.
Exactly. Your summary is perfect. It's like, exactly. That's what I say in the book. Similar.
Excellent. Let me ask you this. What are a couple of things that project-driven organizations must do today to be successful? And that's not only the Fortune 500s, but even a project organization can be an entrepreneur or a small company of folks who are listening that are trying to figure out, okay, what do I have to do to be successful?
Yeah. So if you're the CEO of this medium-sized company, spend more time on, let go a bit of your day-to-day into the running of the business. Delegate that piece and spend more time into that transformation project activities. Leading by example will show that we prioritize projects second. What you can do is deprioritize many activities and choose 2 or 3 that will be the big bets, right? The rest can be operationalized, but 3 big bets. What are your 3 big bets? Everybody in that company should know them by heart. Okay, we're working on that. Then this is the last step I want to share. Put fully dedicated teams. I know for small companies, not that easy, especially if you have 1 or 2 experts. But say 3 days a week you work on that project. One of the biggest problems that companies have in general is that most of the workers in projects work part-time. Well, how can a company with 50,000 people have people working on a project of 20 people, have everyone part-time? It's the worst you can do. So be courageous, extract people from their day-to-day. I know they don't want that because day-to-day gives you a bit of stability, but move them for just 6 months, 9 months into a project-based job, just doing that project for 9 months, and things will move fast. So that will be the third advice. Really take the courage to move people and fully dedicate it to your big bets.
Yes. Yeah. It's almost like you're going from a radar to a laser focus, because radar, you're kind of keeping your eyes on everything that's flying around you. Yeah. But the laser, you're totally just streamlined, focused on taking that particular item across the finish line. And honestly, I think that is the challenge of why there are projects that never get canceled.
Yeah.
Right. Because if we're working on part-time and it's a lot of things on the radar, then we're like, okay, well, I'm multitasking. I'm keeping the balls running. I'm busy, right? I'm going to work and I'm busy. I got a lot going on, more than saying, you know what? I'm focused on this effort that's going to bring in this much, or if this is successful, it's going to do this for the business. And we're laser focused on moving that forward while we have other people doing the other things. And I think that's a smart way. And again, I think it boils down to why projects don't get closed out. A part of it is because of fear of failure and not embracing the failure, and so on. In fact, let's talk about this. In the book, you talk about the habit of stopping projects and embracing failure, right? And that's in failure when it comes to projects for an entrepreneur or for a big business is a scary thing because you've already invested money, right? You've invested development time, you've invested infrastructure costs, you've invested, maybe it was an idea that you researched and you thought was going to go really, really well, and the market says, not so fast, right? Because that's when the rubber hits the road. When you put it out in the market says, "Hey, that's an amazing idea," or "I don't get it."
Exactly.
What are some of the things that you can speak on in relationship to stopping projects and embracing failure?
I think this is also part of that culture element, Gerald. So you said that you should not see failure as failure. It's not failure. I think you're experimenting, especially early stages, especially if you think big, like, I don't know, with SpaceX, and they decided to send rockets upstairs and then they land. How can you, if you imagine if you think that the first time you fail with that, you fail. No, you just have that kind of, it's experimentation. You need to realize that some of these projects, especially the exponential one, are experiments, and you will fail. If you don't fail, you didn't think broad enough, right? So embed that into the culture. One thing that is very important, you want people in a project to be able to, or a project manager say, this project is better, we stop it because we've tried, but it didn't work. So you need to encourage a culture where people that stop a project, they get relocated. So there's an agreement that within the next 30 days, all the people in the project will be relocated to another project. So you have safety, right? You're not going to be fired. You're going to just move on. Very important. Third, start your steering committees or investment committees, not with the milestones in the progress, but say, I'm going to stop this project. I'm going to free up capacity. This is what I think. So start always with the projects that can be stopped. Instead of how green everything is looking and how well we're doing. No, this is, I think we could stop. So when you force a bit of these new behaviors, stopping projects becomes something natural. And every 3 months, you should be stopping projects. If not, something is wrong.
The project should be stopped either because it finished, right? You're done with it and you've transitioned that component into operations, or the project is being stopped because you've done all of the testing. And again, I think if you're clear up front about what does done look like, and you and the team can evaluate it through a ceremony, lesson learned kind of, agile method, framework process, and you say, you know what, I don't see how this project can actually meet the deadlines or meet the goals of what we're going to, the benefits. We've tested it, we've done this, we've done that. It may be that we stop it, put it on the back burner and take it back to the lab and rethink it through, or we just go ahead and kill it all together and then go and say, okay, well, I think in the article I talked about around sunsetting projects is what parts of the project, if it failed, could be leveraged for something new.
Exactly.
Because not every part of the project failed. Yeah. Not everything was a mistake, right? So what can we harvest, right? And then what was the knowledge that we could harvest? And what capabilities or skills have we developed, even though we didn't implement this project or do this thing? What else have we developed or built that can be moved into another area or another goal, if you will? And so I think it's a really important area. Again, if you're serious about project work, pick up the book, Powered by Projects. Antonio, it has been amazing having this conversation with you. And we have to do this again when the next book that comes out. And it's been a little while, my friend, for us to have this kind of conversation and talk. But is there any one last thing you'd like to share or tip you'd like to give someone, especially someone who may be in the process of looking for their next job, and they are, want to use this model or mindset of the project-driven organization, because that's a lot of the organizations they're going to be applying for, because those organizations that are growing are doing more projects than not?
Well, I think people who are listening, get comfortable with projects. There's a lot of things that we already do projects in our life, but get familiar with the concepts, get comfortable to be enter an organization, say, I want to lead the change, I want to support the transformation. The mindset is really important. You mentioned, Gerald, the entrepreneurship mindset is, I think, if there's something that is going to set us apart, is that entrepreneurship mindset, taking ownership of the benefits that you're going to deliver. So that mindset, it can be trained, it can be developed. So that's kind of how I would choose somebody. If they have these skills and that mindset, that's a winner.
Exactly. Antonio, where can people learn more about you and find your book?
LinkedIn, Antonio Nieto-Rodriguez, or my website, AntonioNietoRodriguez.com.
Excellent. Well, you can also pick up the book at Harvard Business Review, Powered by Projects, or even the Harvard Business Review Project Management Handbook. Thank you so much for being a part of the Productivity Smarts podcast, and I've enjoyed our conversation, my friend.
The same. Thank you, Gerald, for having me. A pleasure, always.
If you're enjoying the content and finding it valuable, we would appreciate it if you could take a moment and leave us a review. Your feedback is important to us and helps us reach a wider audience. If you leave us a 5-star review, it would mean the world to us. Not only does it help us improve the podcast, but it also helps us attract more sponsors and grow our community. Thank you again for your support and for listening to the Productivity Smarts podcast.
Thank you for tuning in to Productivity Smarts, where we help you achieve your goals and live your best life. We hope you've gained valuable insights and actionable strategies to boost your productivity and increase your happiness and fulfillment. Remember to apply what you've learned and keep striving towards your goals. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our podcast for more inspiring episodes and expert advice from our host, Gerald J. Leonard. Until next time, keep pushing forward and unleashing your productivity smarts.